Associate Brian Murphy with us on the Talk Back this evening from the Toledo Public School District. A lot of changes, a lot of different things you've been doing with the district with your transformation plan. Today we want to talk about the free and reduced lunch program that is coming up. First of all, if your child was in it last year, they stay in it this year. Is that how it works?
Yeah, if your child was in free and reduced lunch last year, they do have to fill out another application, but that application is not due until September 30th. In the meantime, parents don't have to worry. Students come to school will be able to still receive their breakfast or lunch until September 30th.
And this has got to be such an important program because if a child is hungry early in the day, their chances of learning, I would guess, for the rest of the day probably drastically decrease, right?
I would say so. That's why we feel it's very important that we provide breakfast and lunch to all of those students, and giving them the opportunity to be able to come to school, have a month to be able to get their breakfast and get their lunch without having to fill out the application allows us to give us some time to walk those students through the program. Okay,
so I mean, if it's a paperwork thing they got to work out in the first couple of weeks, you don't want to hold it against the student.
That's correct.
Hasn't been worked out.
That's correct.
Okay, so if parents are thinking about joining it for the first time, how do they get that paperwork? What is the process for them?
The first week of school, our principals will give students a copy of the application to take home to the parents.
Now, is that every kid?
That's every kid in the district,
okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Once the parent fills it out, the parent can drop it off to the school, can send it back with the child. The school then will process the information and will send a letter to the parents with the decision from the paperwork.
Okay. And for people that aren't familiar with the program in general, how do the kids go up there and they know it's them? Do they have a card? Do they say their name? What is that process?
Students in the district will have an ID card, and on that ID card there'll be an identification number which will tell the lunch ladies or gentlemen that they qualify for free lunch or reduced lunch.
Okay. And so just so we're clear, the kids that are in that program are not the only ones in the school with the card, right? Everybody's got a card?
That's correct. Everybody in the school has a ID card, and that ID card could be used for transportation purposes. It could be an ID card to get admittance into a football game, whether it's on a Friday or a weekend or another sporting activity. And that card could be used for getting lunch or getting breakfast as well. Okay,
because I guess for some parents and for kids, they might worry about a stigma. If they're part of that group, their family might have a little bit of a tough time going through. But you guys seem like you have a process where everyone's got the same card, so nobody knows what's happening.
Yeah, so we want it to be equal for all students.
Okay, and is that something you guys have worked on to make sure that there is no stigma with that?
Absolutely, that's our duty as a school district to treat everybody the same.
Okay, so the parents, if they see the form come home in the first couple of days, make sure you try to work on that as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. Obviously, we would like to get the applications back from the parents as soon as possible so we can work through those and get everything set in stone so we can continue throughout the school year.
And the yes-no, whether they can get involved, is that based on income level?
Yeah, we get a chart from the federal income chart, and based on the number of people that live in a household and based on the income will determine whether they qualify for free lunch, whether they qualify for reduced lunch, or whether they do not qualify at all.
Okay. Brian, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it as we get closer to the school year starting. Thanks very much. And that's your Talk Back.